Ahoj Samppa.
Ahoj.
Ahoj Koncept. Ja som opäť Zuzana Pasterčák-Duchová a toto je Samppa Lappalainen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So hello and welcome to Bratislava. Samppa is CEO at JKMM Architects. Is that right?
Correct.
What does that mean, JKMM?
Well, it's not very imaginative. It's just the first letters of four of our founding partners. First letters from their family names: Jaaksi, Kurkela, Miettinen, and Mäki-Jyllilä.
And where is your name? You joined them?
I've been in the company for 6 years now, but it was founded 26 years ago, and there's no room for more letters in the name anymore. So it will remain JKMM, even if it has 13 partners nowadays. So there's 9 more partners than the founders.
That's quite a lot. How many employees do you have and how many offices?
One office in Helsinki and about 90 employees, or 90 people. About 6 or 7 are administration, but the rest are designers, architects, interior designers, and so on.
So you are one of the biggest architecture offices in Finland, right? And you are also now part of Slovak Chamber of Architects project Cezar. You are one of the jury members for Cezar 2024. So how does it go so far? Did you see any of the entries? And
I haven't yet, and I'm sharing this great honor with a Slovak colleague of mine, Matus Pajor from our office. So due to some problems with the schedule, we're kind of splitting the responsibility. But I believe that there will be first meeting about the candidates in May. So in some 4 weeks, we will see the long list, and then in June there will be live inspections to the short list of the candidates.
yeah, that's always the best to see the architecture, see the creators, see how the houses are in their context. So good luck with that, and we hope you choose well, and we are looking forward to see the results. And so do you have previous knowledge of Slovak context and Slovak?
Well, I would say that not that much. Of course, one of my good colleagues is from here, super talented guy, this Matus, but I haven't. This is my first time in Slovakia, in Bratislava, so I haven't had the chance to really get to know the architecture.
Yeah, maybe it will be good to bring some voice from the outside and tell us some feedback.
Yeah.
It's always very useful. We have met 2 days ago on a conference called Green Building Summit. How did you like the conference and the overall topics?
The conference was super well organized. The presentations and the presenters were inspiring. I think everybody pretty much agrees that we are in trouble as humankind. The planet is last year was the warmest year in the history of measuring the average global temperatures. So something has to be done. Even in Central Europe, we realized that the glaciers are melting, and we can see that the winters are not winters anymore. So we agree that something should be done. But the problem is that there's so many voices, so many opinions, that for designers and builders it's hard to kind of decide what voices we should listen to. So there's lots of greenwashing, and everybody's saying that our product is very sustainable.
Exactly. Yeah, but I think it's really unavoidable, because we cannot say, okay, just paint everything green and this will be it, because every building is very unique, and there are like so many different professions and so many different things to consider. So what is your way to come, I don't know, to the ideal, but at least to try?
Well, we
like
will,
in the practical sense.
Yes. If we want to cut down the emissions, if we want to stop the global warming, we need to stop creating CO2 emissions. And the only way that we can do that within the building industry is to build less. So that's a no-brainer. That's a very easy solution. But we live in a financial system that encourages people to build more, consume more, and we need, for the economy to work, we need more and more business all the time. And this is not sustainable. The planet can't take all of that. So we should, if we want to somehow be able to come down with the emissions, we should be doing something else with all our energy than, the potential we have as a mankind. We should be doing something else than building new buildings or building concrete buildings. If we stop demolishing existing buildings and we start using our imagination to refurbishing them, giving them new life, so that we don't have to build every building from scratch. We don't have to use the energy and the natural resources that are needed for each new building. That way we can significantly reduce the CO2 emissions. So we should have a new mindset, kind of change the way we perceive the building industry. Instead of building new, we should try to find out ways to use the existing. And of course, if we build something new, sometimes we have to build new. We should use timber, which creating the timber structures doesn't create CO2, quite the opposite. It's actually reserves or holds CO2. And also make sure that if we build something, it should last for 200 years at least. Because every time we build something that lasts for 30 years, we will have to replace it in another 30 years. So
the maintenance is also an issue, that the building is not like finished when you build it, and then it's not your problem anymore. But to take care of the continuation. So can you tell us some of your recent examples? What you worked on?
I had chosen some of our projects to my presentation about giving new life to existing buildings. And maybe one thing I was actually a little bit disappointed about, even if the summit was in all other ways really like successful, I would have wanted to see more examples of like using of actually recycled building materials and structures, and I know that it doesn't happen that much. We should have more of these projects, but there are some that exist, and we should kind of try to follow them better. And I'm not saying even our examples, they're good architecture, they're interesting in many ways, but I think there's still room for improvement. I presented Amos Rijksmuseum, that is originally the glass house building is built in the 30s, and the extension is underground. So it's like other half of the project was giving new life to the existing building from the 30s, and the other half was building underground something new. So the whole building complex has a new life now, but it needed the new part in order the old part to survive. Then there's this example of a dance house. There's an old cable factory from the 40s, and then extension, and the complex kind of is working now as a whole. But then there was, for example, this library we designed in Kirkkonummi called Fyri. There was an old existing library building, and we just built a little bigger frame around it. So all the existing structures were they could remain inside, and that's one way to reduce the need for new building materials that use the existing building. And one more example I think was good mention, this Think Corner, Tiedekulma. It's a university building in center of Helsinki, and it looks very new, and in all ways it's like a modern building, but it has the slabs, the structures, everything is from 70s, so it's just the outside that is new, and everything in the inside is actually old.
Yeah, that's great when it's possible to do. But what do you normally do with the waste, with the material from the sites? Because there are also some alternative possibilities.
How do we deal with the demolition waste? I know that it can be used in like when you crash it down, the crumble can be used in the foundations, or you can use it when you're building roads, so like the first layer. And of course,
do you think it's
well, it's good that it goes. It's good that it goes somewhere, not to the these big waste mountains. But we must remember that when we demolish something and something new comes instead, creating this new building is a bad thing for the environment. So it doesn't matter where the demolished things go, where they are taken. It's good that they're used somewhere, but the bad thing is that there's actually a new building coming there. And if it's not made from wood, if it's made of concrete, the production of concrete creates like a big amount of emissions, and that's what we should be avoiding.
And you are talking a lot about happiness. So what does it mean in the context of architecture?
Where our founders have had this philosophy of happiness being like the top level of sustainable society. So it's maybe a little bit provocative thinking, but it goes like this, that in the foundation of society there's business and technology, and if they are working on top of them, we can build knowledge, culture and well-being. So we kind of categorize our design under these three categories: knowledge, culture and well-being. And if these are working, then on the top we can have happiness. And we like to think that Finland, being the happiest nation, 7th year in a row now, is also a little bit thanks to the architects, because we have been creating the infrastructure for this happy society.
That is really super nice marketing, and I think that like you have been new European Bauhaus even before it was cool. Are you familiar with the new European Bauhaus movement? Or are you taking part in any?
There is one project that we've been involved with. It's an old power factory or power plant in Riihimäki, close to Helsinki. Old red brick factory building. That's part of the program. So through that project, we are familiar with it.
Because it really sounds totally like the one of the pillar, which is beauty. So for me, it is very similar with the philosophy of happiness, meaning like when you are just concentrating on rules and don'ts and numbers, it's not enough. Like we as architects or as anyone active in the society, we have to consider also these like soft factors of city development or building or anything.
Yeah, and one thing that builders and architects, developers and investors often forget is the playfulness and the kind of letting people also create themselves something. Everything shouldn't be made so strictly that this is how we we can't assume from above that people will live in a urban structure and buildings that they can't like participate themselves. Mm-hmm. So we should always leave this space, a little bit freedom for people to kind of be spontaneous and playful and creative themselves. And I think that's like cities like Berlin have done something right because there's lots of opportunities for spontaneous creation.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe for relationships, like when you have relationships with a place, then you are willing to preserve the place and you are willing to take care of the place.
Mm. Yeah,
there's also the concept of beauty, like when you have something beautiful and you have a relationship, then you don't want to demolish it and then you don't create
and
emissions.
How do you make somebody love the building they're in?
Mm-hmm.
I think the only way, if you just give it everything ready designed and ready made, I said this is your building, you should love this, you don't create the ownership for this person, this building. It's like, okay, it's a nice building, but it's not my building. But if you allow the people who use the building or move or live in the building, if you allow somehow them to make it look like them, then they create a companionship with the building and then they start caring about it. And that's, I think, what's often forgotten, that we architects assume that we can give buildings just like that to people and assume that they love it. But people should always have their own little touch.
Mm-hmm. So you don't mind when people add to your design?
Well, if it's a graffiti in like a wall of a library, then it's like, well, it could have been maybe somewhere else. I like graffitis, but and of course it's always the moment if it's like private house for somebody who's building their dream house. Of course, it's a little bit painful to give it away and see that they put the wrong paintings and wrong kind of furniture and whatever. Well, not wrong, but something that I would not have used. But then you have to remember that it's a co-creation project. Architect is there to help the people to fulfill their dreams, not architect's own dreams. Mm-hmm. And if the user client is happy, then architect should be happy as well.
Some 2 years ago, we had a guy from Austrian Architects Chamber here at a discussion, and he said that in Austrian competitions, architectural competitions, there at some places there is forbidden to have these super realistic visualizations, just to have like technical documentation. Mm. That you will not influence the lay people, so it will look super cool, and in the end it will not. So how is your experience in Finland with bigger projects and dealing with public opinions and stuff, and persuading some municipalities and so on?
It's visualizations have become definitely more and more important, and they are a way to influence the opinions of juries and authorities. And it's kind of a shame. In a way, it's nice that for anyone, even non-architect, it's possible to quickly see that, okay, this building looks like this. If we only look at the sections and floor plans, it's harder for the non-professionals to understand what kind of building we are designing. But it's also true that if there are two projects or two proposals, and the other one has a like perfectly functioning concept, and it would be 10 times better than the other one. But if the visualizations from the other one are like happy and shiny or whatever stylish, there's a chance that the one with better visualizations wins. Of course, we should be able to trust that the jury members actually like go deep into the functionality of the program. But sometimes when there's like competitions have hundreds of entries, it's maybe just a humane thing that if you see a proposal with not so nice visualization, you're assuming immediately that, well, this is maybe not so good, and let's check the next one.
Yeah, but some people argue that then it becomes not the competition of the brightest ideas, but who has more money to afford a company who can do
that's
fancy
true.
visualizations.
It is really expensive to do competitions. We do lots of competitions. We have won more competitions than any other company in Finland, but the other side of the coin is that we have lost more competitions than any other company in Finland. So we use hundreds of thousands each year just for competitions, and we are lucky sometimes. Sometimes we make the best proposal, but we don't win, and sometimes we win, and hopefully that's the best proposal, but you can never know. But it's really a difficult way of getting new projects. It requires lots of energy and many disappointments. But we also can't afford to do bad visualizations, because even if we think that the design is the best in our proposals, we have to be sure that when the jury sees our proposal, they will also love the visualizations.
Yeah. But you can then always use it in your portfolio, maybe, and
and
you
they
have to
are.
be optimistic.
If you look at our website, there's many nice visualizations of projects that we didn't win, where you got second prize or something, and they remain there. But it's nice that they're in the portfolio, but it's also sort of like a knife in a wound, because every time you see that, you remember, that annoying competition, we should have won.
Yeah, but from the position of the users, I would like to thank you that you are contributing to the discussion. I think that competitions are very important, and it's important to have the discussion, like not just to employ a friend of a friend, or I don't know, somebody who is a family with the politician, because this is what is moving our society forward. I would love to try to think that. We have talked also about some negative aspects in the society. So how can we still have hope that we can fight against the climate issues and the societal inequities and stuff like that?
We can affect the society from two directions, from top down and from bottom up. Everybody should be conscious about the things that they can do for the society or for the humankind. There's things involved with what kind of food you eat, how much clothing you buy and use, how much you travel. But as designers, we can always try to use the most sustainable solutions, but we can't really, if the investor or our client wants us to do a concrete box somewhere, they will do it anyway. If we don't do it, somebody else will do it. So we can't really stop them from doing the harm to the planet. So this is where the change should be coming from top down. We should have regulations for building harmful buildings, like they should be sanctioned, taxed, or whatever, to make it less profitable. And on the other hand, the refurbishing existing buildings should be subsidized. There should be easier, like monetary instruments, how to get cheaper loans from banks if you do sustainable or renovations. So things or like instruments like this should be utilized in order to change, because only then the investors, because they just look at the Excel sheet and what is more profitable. If it becomes more profitable to build from timber, they will definitely do it.
Or maybe do you think that some good publicity will help? Like when a company we have some investors that claim that we have this ecological certification. Do you think
it's a good start, but also all the new buildings we see, all the new offices, they have LEED or BREEAM certificates, but they're still new buildings. I mean, these certificates are mostly designed to measure the energy consumption of the building, how ecological or sustainable it is when it's used. But
when it's not used.
Yeah, and the thing is that did they have to be built in the first place? Well, if they did, then it's good that they're sustainable, of course. But building of these buildings will benefit the humankind only in 50 years or 100 years, because if they are not demolished in 50 years and if they're still sustainable, then maybe it's a good thing that they were built.
It's a problem actually when I think of it, also for the journalism in architecture, like when you want to write articles about super sustainable reconstruction that is made on site with local people with low budget, then no company will give you money. Then you have no money to pay the authors of the articles. Then you have no money to pay the photographers and the printers. So this is also a pressure just to build more and new and to publish a new house that was built in this year, because when you publish something from 5 years ago, it's not interesting for the sponsors.
Yeah, it's being, because everything is connected. So and when there's like business that's profitable, all kinds of other businesses are linked to it. And when there's business that is not profitable, or when there's like action that is not profitable, nobody's interested in it. So it's difficult to get positive PR or publicity for things that actually might be really good for people to know about.
That's what I was thinking about when you were saying that there are maybe more projects. That, for example, I know about this project of Nova Cvernovka in Bratislava, and they are really like professionals, architects, but they are like quite young and they don't have big studios behind them, but they are working according to these principles you just mentioned. Like they are not building something new, they are reusing the building material. But nobody knows about it. Well, not like whole world, because it's easier for like a fancy architecture magazine. It's easier to get money, to get funding when you write about a nice, beautiful glass and concrete building that has all the newest technologies.
Yeah, but we would definitely need a change of the mindset in the whole industry. And I really don't, I would like to believe that we can all be part of the movement, but what really would matter is that if the politicians and the people behind the building regulations would take this as their project and change the laws globally so that it would be impossible to break this planet anymore. Or not impossible, but not profitable. Since we live in this capitalist system, it's very natural that the companies that seek best profit, they choose the options that are best for them regarding the next quarter or the next year. Because it's how they work.
We cannot blame them. And did you notice during your career some significant changes in the legislation in Finland?
They're mostly related to energy efficiency. So we're building new buildings with thicker walls and like more effective HVAC, so we're gathering the energy back and recycling the energy within the building. So we are also getting more and more dependent on technology. So the buildings are like rocket ships with high technology everywhere, which also kind of makes them a little bit vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So whenever there's, for example, Finland is famous, or we have had several projects, several old schools or kindergartens that have been there since the 50s or so. So they've been around for already 70 years. And then somebody comes up with the decision that that we should renovate this building. And while we renovate it, maybe let's add high-tech like air conditioning or whatever, ventilation. And then when the summertime comes and people go to their summer vacations, they decide that we should save energy by stopping these engines. And when kids come back to school in the autumn, the buildings are molded, and there's like because there hasn't been the natural ventilation anymore. And the buildings are sealed nowadays because it's energy efficient that they're sealed. And if the machines are not used all the time properly, they will become like bottles, and then they will start molding and rotting. So there's several examples like this, and also just examples where somebody has forgotten to use the air conditioning, and if you don't use it, the air isn't circulating and bad things start happening. So I think we should not only try to preserve the old buildings, but we should also try to preserve the old methods and be less dependent on the technology that actually makes the buildings very vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. There's the Austrian project off-grid.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to build units like that?
Like using the geothermal energy to heat up the building. I guess you can use it for both ways. I'm not very familiar with all the latest technology, but off-grid makes sense in many ways if you're like not dependent of the surroundings, and you kind of can circulate the whatever energy you need within the own lot. I think, at least to me, that sounds like something that's actually good for like environment. Of course, I'm not really a professional in saying that what would be the best technical solution but being not dependent, being like self-sufficient, sounds like a good idea. If you're able to create the energy with your sun panels and geothermal pipes, sounds like you're doing something right. Mm-hmm. At least you're not sucking energy from outside, and you're kind of using whatever you need.
And is it a thing in Finnish architecture nowadays to take inspiration from some old cultures? Like you have this this Sami.
It's not an easy it's not an easy subject. There's been lots of discussions lately about adapting elements from the Sami culture to the main Finnish culture, and if it's okay, if it's like a cultural appropriation.
Or if it's colonization.
Yeah, well, it probably should be called colonization, because that's what's happened. Maybe this is something that a Sami person should answer to. I think if in a respectful way it's possible to respect any culture, then why not? And the history of humankind is full of moments when somebody gets excited about something. I think if you look at the oldest buildings in Helsinki, they're all inspired from ancient Greek. We have these pillars and we have like classical shapes. It's not we didn't make that. We've been just looking somewhere and admire something. Nobody's complaining about that. And the same thing here. It's like we're always like, you see those arcs and these. It's not Slovak tradition. So I think what Finns can do with good conscience, we can respect nature because we have lots of forests and lakes. We can use the elements of like wood, stone, water, things like this in our architecture and design, and nobody should be angry about that. And then when it comes to adapting elements from the Sami culture, I would be quite careful with that, and I would at least consult the Sami community to make sure that I'm not doing anything stupid.
Yeah, because it's one thing that it looks nice, but then there are the processes behind it. Is there actually something like traditional Finnish architecture?
Well, the traditional Finnish architecture would be, I guess, well, we have a long history of being slaves, first to the Swedes and then to the Russians. So there's no this concept of making Finland great again. So we are pretty humble in our cultural heritage. We've been living in these holes in the ground for the first 2,000 years of our history. And we, of course, the traditional Finnish buildings are wood buildings, log buildings. They usually have a roof like this to keep the snow and water out. And they're usually quite small because we were working in the fields, in the forest, hunting in the forest or harvesting land. So the buildings were only used for sleeping, and since we have a cold, like winters are cold, it would make sense to have quite small buildings, so there's less to be heated, less volume to be heated. And at sometimes the animals would also be inside the same building with the people because they create heat, so it made sense. But we don't anymore have cows in our living rooms, which is nice progress.
Do you have a pet yourself?
No. I'm glad to have kept my children alive. Plants and pets would maybe not make it. But yeah, so it's and the architecture, the traditional architecture is quite simple. Even if you look at the summer cottages, they're maybe painted with natural red. Or the fancier buildings with yellow, but with paints you get from nature, and there's not so much decorations. Maybe the old mansions, where the richest people would live, they have some decoration, but it's relatively simple if you compare it with like a royal castles in Sweden or in the Russian palaces. There's much more decoration and gold. We don't have that. It's just very simple elements.
And you also have this culture of weekend houses.
Yeah.
Like we do. But we in Slovakia there is quite common to have a garden somewhere and then go there and then have your carrots or I don't know, whatever.
I think our history being related to being in nature kind of, and also that we don't have super dense cities. There's always parks and green areas, and if you arrive to Helsinki with a plane, you see that Helsinki is full of green. So there's a long tradition of being connected to nature, and I think there's 3 or 4 million saunas in Finland, and I would guess that at least 1 or 2 million summer cottages or something like that. We are less than 6 million people. So actually we are almost the same amount of people, Slovaks and Finns. And our big brothers, Czechs and Swedes, have also the same amount of people. But yeah, it's very Finnish thing to go to the summer cottages in the weekends and especially in the summer.
Mm. Have you been to sauna in Slovakia already?
No. Do you have saunas?
Of course. You just have to know.
Are there public saunas?
It's not like they are in every hotel like in Finland, but it is starting to become a thing. For example, there is one really beautiful in Spišský Hrhov. It's on the east, designed by Woven architects. Really like nice shaped.
Oh, okay.
and it's very like self-sustainable because you heat with wood, and there is a local water spring.
Right, yeah, that would be interesting. And it's for us Finns. It's sometimes if we go to Central Europe and try to find saunas, it's complicated because I've had few experiences in Germany. There was a sauna in the hotel I was staying, but the guy behind the counter eventually would not let me go there because he was convinced that I should not go there, and he was probably correct. But so it's
Okay.
like it's also, because for Finns the saunas don't have this like sexual aspect, and there are in many countries there are places for men to meet each other. So this is for us it's a weird element.
Yeah. Yeah, here we have like girls' day, men's day, mixed day.
Did you have because Helsinki used to have lots of public saunas back in the like 100 years ago, and not all the apartments would have bathrooms, or so it was very common to once a week go wash yourself in public saunas. Did you have something similar here?
It was not sauna, but it was like a public cleaning house, or like public showers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
Do
then,
they still exist, or have they all been?
No. But now, like especially during the 20th century, a lot of we have a lot of hot springs in Slovakia. So they were built like this. Some advertising. Architektúra starostlivosti. This is about the hot springs. Oh, it belongs to Sonia.
Huh.
So, and it's a nice modern architecture nowadays because a lot of them have been rebuilt, and
Okay, so
my dear friends published this one, so you can have a look. So it's our thing more than saunas, like these hot springs and these procedures, and you just go there and you lay in the hot clay, and Piešťany is super famous, also internationally.
So I'm sure if we had hot springs, we would have something similar. But so it makes sense. It would be nice to visit there. They look very nice.
Piešťany is quite near, so I think when you go to
I will be coming here again. So
and when you go to this Cesar tour, I'm sure they will take you somewhere. Yeah, so maybe let's end this here, and thank you for watching.
Is anybody still awake? Hello.
Is it doing something? The mic, probably yes. And this is a video, and you will have the possibility to read something with Samppa in the new Koncept Magazin.
I really hope that the video was on. I think we had a good discussion. Thank you.
Let's check it out.